since this person entered the villa, I believe we shared a lot of eye contact, and I think I am most compatible with this person to twist.
One thing Love Island Australia is going to do is they're going to give someone a second chance. They're not just going to kick someone after 24 hours just because. I like this twist whereby they had, more or less Dylan graft for a second chance, so that was good. And the surprise where all the girls were asked to twist or stick was amazing. I think Dylan and Mimi actually make more sense than Mimi and Zayn, in my opinion. But hey, anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island Australia, Season 6, Episode 3. If I'm going to be truthfully honest, I'm going to say that I'm not surprised with who Taylor chose, because at the cliffhanger was Taylor was waiting to choose who he wanted to pick for a coupling with from all the 5 girls available. So he chose to go with Alicia. Am I surprised? No. No, I'm not surprised, because he had a connection. Well, he spent a lot of time with Alicia, and he had a connection with her, and he had a connection with Hannah. Yes, M was grafting him, but he didn't really seem that sort of interested in her as far as I'm concerned, because he didn't pick her as one of his top 3 for the dates. And even when he spoke to her, it was very distant and very sort of disconnected. Sadly, he said that he had a connection with 2 girls, and this was a slap in Alicia's face because she had grafted him and was hoping she would be his priority. I think she didn't like the fact that Dylan didn't seem very desperate for her, and the fact that he was exploring a connection with Mimi. I think this is why Alicia decided to jump ship before Dylan jumped ship. Anyway, Dylan is left vulnerable, and he's told he's got 12 hours in which to convince one of the 4 remaining girls to couple up with him. If one of them can couple up with him, then he's safe from going home. But if no one can couple up with him, then he is going home. And well, I feel, and I was correct, that he was going to explore with Mimi because he's already got a connection with Mimi, and they were talking in the afternoon. So I wasn't surprised when he pulled her for a chat and started having a conversation. She was happy he pulled her first. They had quite a great conversation. The fact that they live very close to one another, the fact that he's her type and there's a spark between them and conversation flows easily was amazing for them. But then that left Zayn in this place of he didn't know what to do, because obviously he has this situation whereby he had a couple of girls fighting for him on day 1. Now he's been in a connection with Mimi, and he thought he was safe, and Mimi is now exploring things with Dylan. So that sort of leaves him in no man's land, whereby he has to either explore a connection with somebody else or he's gone. So you had the girl sort of saying to him, you need to sort of come out of your comfort zone, and you need to actually graft Mimi, because otherwise if you don't, Dylan is going to turn her head. So he decides to go and sort of pull her for a chat because she was still chatting to Dylan. And then Alicia asks, Taylor, so who's your second option? He says M. I don't think so. I think M was his safe option. Because he knew that M was in a couple which was a friendship connection and not a romantic connection. I feel like he went for the person he felt was least intimidating or was most likely to go home first. This is why he went for Dylan's partner, in my opinion. Anyway, you have Zayn approach Dylan and Mimi and sort of ask for a chat, and Dylan walks off and leaves them to chat. It was ox galore, because Mimi said, what is it about me that you like? And he said, you've got nice teeth and eyes. And it's like, oh my god, his chat is crap. You can't kick someone away from a conversation and not have anything tangible to say that will turn the other person's head, or anything to say that will motivate the person to want to be with you. It doesn't make sense to me, and I don't get why he didn't sort of sit down with himself and come up with pointers of what he would say. He said he's a bit overwhelmed, and it's like, yeah, you're overwhelmed, but still have something to say. Don't you have any res? Now you're in this position whereby you're competing with someone who's got amazing res, and she said this, it's a spark, and she was really excited when she was speaking to Dylan. So chances are, poor thing, if he's not smart, he's going home. So you have Hannah and Nico having a conversation. Nico is excited that Hannah wasn't picked. And Hannah is telling him that I'm very excited that you weren't picked, because if I was picked, I would have been crying because I really like you. And it's like, girl, you were telling this man, Taylor, that you like him. You were telling him, don't tell anyone that you're my type and you're in my top. So for you to pretend to this young man to say that, oh, I'm happy he didn't pick me because you are it. She's sort of saying, oh, now it's had me sort of settled that I don't want anyone else. I want you. And it's like, you don't want anyone else because he didn't pick you. And you've heard you were not in his top 2. Had you been in his top 2, you'd still have wanted him because you told him he is your type. So please don't sit there and tell Porkies and try and convince us all that you didn't say what you said. We heard you clearly tell this man that he was your type and he was in your top. We heard you clearly say that you didn't want him to tell anybody else that he was your type and he was in your top. So please, let us keep it moving and let us keep it quiet. Don't try and sort of play us because we can't see you clearly. Anyway, so you have Zayn pull Zanti for a chat because Zanti wants to find out what happened with his chat with Mimi. And he's sort of saying, I became overwhelmed and I didn't know what I was saying. It was a struggle for me to get anything out and I couldn't tell her because she was asking me, what is it about me that you like? And I feel like Zayn is going after who he thinks is the prize in the villa. That's the impression that I get. I don't think he likes Mimi romantically. I think his connection is stronger with Zanti, but because Zanti didn't pick him initially for the kisses, and she picked him for the kisses, but I think because she didn't shortlist him or she didn't run to his mat, this is why he doesn't know whether to pick her or not. Because I feel like they have a great connection. I think they sort of gel very well. They're very relaxed around each other. So it would make sense for them to couple up if needed. But then I don't know how Zanti would feel about sort of dumping her trader man, because she said she wanted to be in a couple with a trader man. So at the moment she's in a couple with Kane. You have Mimi have another conversation with Dylan. I think this was after her conversation with Zayn, and she's sort of saying, I had a conversation with him and I'm a bit, all over the place because she's underwhelmed, more or less is what she was implying. So she asked Dylan, what is it about me that you like? Do you like me because I'm the only person you're attracted to? Or do you like me because I'm the only connection you have? And as soon as somebody else comes in, you'll move to them. It reminded me of Reed from last season. And I was like, nah, I don't think he'll do that. I think he's going to be a stable force like Nate from last season. I think if Mimi is really looking for a relationship, then her chances are better with Dylan because he doesn't look like he's someone who's got a wandering eye. He doesn't look like someone who's an F-boy. So I think her chances of staying in a couple are better with Dylan than they would be with Zayn, because I think with Zayn, if the next shiny object comes, he will skip town. It's interesting because you can see that everyone, I don't know whether everyone is nervous, but it seems most of the guys are backing Zayn and they're trying to encourage Zayn to go after what he wants. Anyway, everybody goes to bed. And surprisingly, Zayn and Mimi, for people that are in a couple, they won't even hug. There was no hug, there was no kiss. I think Zayn knows where he stands. I think he knows that, it's nothing romantic there. There's nothing. He is just pushing so that he's not the first person going home. I think if he knew he had a chance to pick somebody else, he would have grafted Zanti, because Zanti is more sort of his wavelength or more his type. There seems to be a spark there. Although Zanti is saying on her part, she thinks things are going amazingly well with Kane. And it's like, yes, they're going well with Kane, but does that mean that you are happy, or are you just putting up with Kane because that's the only connection you have, or the connection you feel you're strongest in at the moment? Everybody goes to sleep, and you have Hannah making out in bed with Nico. That's to be expected. You have Alicia and Taylor, they're making out in bed. Em obviously was telling Indigo that she would have preferred that Taylor pick her, but she understands that, he went with what we felt was his strongest connection. And for me, it's like, you have a lot of differences. If you've been on my channel, you know that I always say when people have a difference about children, then that's something that you can never turn around, because if someone wants children and you don't want children, then you have to take it for what it is and keep it moving. There's no point in you continuing to explore a connection with someone if you don't want the same things, because it's not going to lead anywhere. So everybody goes to sleep, and first thing in the morning, you have the guys pulling, first of all, it's Dylan. He pulls Mimi for a chat. Mimi, I think, really likes Dylan. That's the impression that I get. I feel like she really likes Dylan. She can see something growing there, but she's sort of not sure whether he is going to stick by her if his type comes in. I think this is where her biggest concern is, that she's worried that if somebody that's his type comes in, his head is going to turn, and then she's going to be left with nothing. While they're having a conversation, you have the guys all hyping up Zayn and sort of telling him that, if you really are keen on Mimi, then you have to go for it, push for it. Don't wait around for her to come to you. You need to speak to her. So he pulls her for a chat and has a conversation with her and tells her that, he sort of implies that he's a slow burn. Oh, my friends always tell me that I take time sort of to warm up. So I don't know, just give me time and then my personality will come out. And it's like, no. You were speaking to Zanti, your personality was coming out. Tell the girl the truth that actually, yes, as much as I like you, but romantically, I don't think we're there yet. But I would like a chance to sort of explore to see if we can get there yet. If you don't think so, then that's fine. I'm happy to, keep it moving. And that's the truth. So you have everyone is hanging around the villa because they know that at some point, Dylan, somebody's going to have to make a choice whether to save him or he's going to go home. Obviously, Dylan is nervous, and he's doing his best because he has to do that for himself, but he's also nervous because the guy he's going against, it seems they are friends, so it seems he's friends with Zayn, so he doesn't want to see Zayn go home, but at the same time he has to look out for himself as well. So they have a conversation with Zayn and they're just like, this sucks because one of us will be going home. And so a text message arrives to say, everybody gather around the fire pit. And on Love Island, gathering around the fire pit is never a good idea. So they gather around the fire pit and Sophie arrives and reveals that obviously Dylan is still very vulnerable, but all the guys need to stand by the fire pit, and the girls are given an option to twist or stick. And it's scary for the guys because I think everybody else was very laid back because they assumed that, Dylan had been grafting Mimi, so they were in the clear. But then to find out that actually you're not in the clear and there's a possibility that you might go home, this was scary. I feel like this is a good idea because for people like Zayn has a stronger connection with Zanti than he does with Mimi. He's only chasing Mimi because he knows somebody else likes Mimi. But if he were to be honest with himself, then he would know for a fact that his connection truly lies with Zanti. He might not be sure where Zanti lies, but it seems their conversation, everything flows better with Zanti. Sophie then asks Hannah to stand up and pick, whether she would like to stick or twist. Surprised with the response, no, because I feel like Hannah and Nico have come up with a plan that they're going to stick with each other till the very end. The fact that Nico was already saying they're the strongest couple makes me question whether they really have a spark or whether they're just doing gameplay and they're going to do what's in their best interest long term. And so I'm not surprised that they decided to stick. Next up is Mimi. She's asked the same question. Oh my God, I feel like I'm on fire. You know how I am. When I like someone, I really like them. And I really liked Dylan and I'm so nervous for him. Anyway, so next up, as I said, was Mimi. She was given the option to stick or twist. She's in a couple with Zayn and she can either stick with Zayn or twist to Dylan. And she chooses to twist. So she chooses to go with Dylan. Am I surprised? No. Her body language was saying she likes Dylan more, the way she was leaning in towards him when they were having conversation, the fact that they kept having conversation after conversation after conversation. I'm not surprised. Even Zayn himself had to be honest and said, they really get along very well, so he's not surprised that she picked him. Dylan was excited. Sophie's jaw was on the floor because she didn't expect it, but it was cute to see that at least she followed her heart. She didn't follow gameplay whereby people will sort of stick with someone who they think will keep them on the show a lot longer. They live close together. They seem to have a lot of things in common. She says he's similar to the type of guys that she's dated and his look is something that she's normally attracted to. So I'm happy. And you actually see her holding his hand once they sat down, and that was cute to see. So now I'm worried for Zayn. I have a feeling that Zanti might actually pick him because they really get along very well. Anyway, next up is Zanti. Zanti gets to pick and she decides to twist. Am I surprised? No. I feel like she had a better connection with Zayn than she did with Kane. I think with Kane, yes, he had some of the qualities she liked, but romantically, she had a stronger connection with Zayn. So I'm not surprised that she chose to go with Zayn. Zayn didn't really say much. I don't know whether he becomes overwhelmed when he's under pressure or whatever. I would have thought he would have been excited because he said he had another connection in the villa. So I would have expected him to say, "Oh, I'm so happy that she picked me because she was my second connection." That would make more sense and make her feel sort of like not feel bad for having to choose between two people, because she said she liked both guys, but she was in this place whereby I think she had more of a friendship and romantic connection with Zayn than she had with Kane, and this is why she went with him. When he's asked Kane, he says he saw it coming. He's not surprised that that's who she's gone for, and everybody shouldn't be surprised, really. So you have M pick, and M is stuck between a rock and a hard place because none of them are romantic connections for her. They're both sort of friendship vibes. The only difference is she's been in a bed with one of them for the past 2-3 days. That's the only difference. So she explains that, she is going to make her choice of someone that she's close to, someone she's become friends with, and so she decides to save Indigo. Am I surprised? No. I think Indigo is a placeholder. Sadly for Indigo and Kane, they didn't make the impression that they were expecting to make. Even I think in the kissing game, they were the last one. No, it was Nico and Kane. Am I mistaken? Anyway, so am I surprised that M chose him? No. Sadly, her choosing him meant that Kane had to go home, and you could see that Zanti was devastated. She made the right choice for herself, but she was devastated that because of her choice, the person she was in a couple with was going home. But the same thing could be said for Mimi, because Mimi also made a choice and decided to twist. So I don't know why Zanti's taking it harder. I think maybe it's because her person is going home, but I don't think romantically long term they would have lasted. My only concern is the person she's picked. I hope Zayn doesn't turn out to be this season's Reed. He's very sort of nonchalant in his behavior, so I hope he doesn't turn out to be Reed and just move from girl to girl to girl, and I hope they actually stay. I think Indigo and Kane were very close. They did try and sit down and have a conversation. It didn't make sense because you had Kane complaining that he's always been unlucky in love, and every time relationships don't always work out for him. So he's devastated that he's going home. He had a conversation with Zanti. Zanti was trying to sort of apologize that he was going home, but I don't think it's her fault. I think she expected him to still stay in the villa and be vulnerable. She didn't realize that he was going to go home. And either way, she wouldn't have lasted with Kane. Kane, I'm sorry, is boring. And there's nothing stand out or good looking about him. So I don't think the producers would have wanted to keep him. So I think this is why they put everybody up for grabs, especially when they realized that Mimi was most likely going to pick Dylan. Everyone gathers around the fire pit. They say goodbye to Kane, and as he leaves, the rains pour as though to wash him away. And it's like, oh my God, why Mother Nature? Why do that to him? Hey, it is what it is. So once Kane is gone, you have Dylan and Mimi having a conversation in the ladies' changing room. They really seem very comfortable around each other. They're very happy. They're very at peace, and they really like one another. You can tell how giddy they are. So they're sort of happy, and they're talking about the fact that, they're happy they're in a couple. You have Dylan trying to persuade Mimi that he's not an F-boy and that she shouldn't worry about him having wandering eyes. And it's like, why are you feeling the need to reassure her? What is it? What is it? Tell us the truth so that we know where you stand. If you have your ways and if you are always moving from girl to girl, you should have told Mimi. That way she's prepared. Anyway, they're giddy, they're happy. You have Zanti have a conversation with Zayn. Zayn is saying he's happy that she chose him. Yes, it was sad that she had to let someone go, because Zanti's saying, don't see me crying and think I wasn't happy to be in a couple with you. I was happy to be in a couple with you, but I was just sad that someone I've been in a couple with is going home as a result of my decision. The way they moved so fast from her crying to suddenly kissing didn't make sense to me. It makes me question, did she really like this guy, or was it game playing? Did she really like Kane, or was it just gameplay for her? Was she just putting up with him just because he was the only one who was interested in her? Make it make sense. I didn't quite get that. You have, everybody stay inside because it starts raining, and they're sort of having a makeup party with the guys and the girls, and sort of, it was cute. It was really cute to see that they were looking for something to entertain themselves because the rains wouldn't stop. And sadly, Em and Taylor were left downstairs in the bedroom area because of the rain, and I think it was producer driven. Because producers are after drama, and everyone was saying to Alicia, are you not worried that he's going to start having conversations with her? And she is trying not to make out that she's worried, but she is worried because of the fact that he has already told her that M is his number 2. So to hear the conversation between Taylor and M, he's playing with fire. He's trying to Reed walked so that Taylor could run. That's the impression that I get, because he's telling her that just because I didn't pick you doesn't mean that I wasn't interested in you. It's just because you didn't show me that you were really keen on me, so that's why I didn't pick you. And it's like, so if she was really keen on you, you would have picked her. And it's complaining that she's a vegan, and it's like, well, then every guy shouldn't be they shouldn't be bringing on vegans because everybody's complaining that she's a vegan. What do you want her to do? There's nothing she can do about that. She can't suddenly eat meat just because all the guys that like her want meat. You had Indigo tell her that, he wanted to fry him a steak. And she's worried also that Indigo, if his type walks in, he's going to leave her. And it's like, well, that's a possibility. That is a strong possibility. That's the problem with choosing someone in a friendship couple, unless you become Sav and her partner from last season and you decide to keep each other on the show for as long as possible. That's the only other reason why you could stay. It was a great episode. I'm so happy that Dylan has stayed, and so I can't wait for episode 4. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 2. Bye guys.